We start the day's other headlines with the end of one of the longest-running insurgencies in the Middle East. The Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, says it's laying down its weapons and disbanding. For decades, the PKK sought to create an independent state for Turkey's Kurdish minority and also work towards Kurdish independence across the region. More recently, it's pushed for greater rights for Kurds inside Turkey, where it's classified as a terrorist organization. The U.S. views it as one as well. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan welcomed today's announcement, saying it will usher in a new era.
The
terrorist organization has announced that it has decided to dissolve itself and hand over its weapons. We see the decision as important in terms of cementing the security of our country, the peace of our region, the everlasting brotherhood of our people.
Erdogan also said that a new window of opportunity has been opened to reach a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Turkey is set to host talks on Thursday, though it's unclear who will be in attendance. At the White House today, President Trump suggested he might make a detour from his Middle East trip to be there, adding that the meeting should not be underestimated. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said he would welcome Trump's participation after offering to meet directly with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Russia has committed to direct talks, but there's been no word on whether Putin will attend. In the meantime, Ukrainian officials say that Moscow launched more than 100 drones overnight, killing at least one person. The Prime Minister of India is warning Pakistan that his country will retaliate against any further attacks. Narendra Modi was speaking for the first time since the nuclear-armed neighbors agreed to a ceasefire over the weekend. That truce appeared to be holding, with officials from both sides saying there had been no firing reported overnight. Last week, India launched strikes on alleged terrorist camps across the de facto border into Pakistan-administered Kashmir and deep into Pakistan's Punjab province. Today, Modi characterized the truce as a pause.
If there is a terrorist attack on India, a fitting reply will be given. We will give a befitting response on our terms only. We will take strict action at every place from where the roots of terrorism emerge.
Meanwhile, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said the ceasefire over the weekend came, quote, in the spirit of peace. Pakistan denies that it backs the militants who carried out a massacre on more than 24 tourists in India-administered Kashmir last month that kicked off this latest conflict. The Trump administration is officially ending so-called temporary protected status, or TPS, for thousands of Afghans living in the U.S. That includes those evacuated after America's chaotic 2021 withdrawal. In a statement, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that, quote, Afghanistan has had an improved security situation and its stabilizing economy no longer prevent them from returning to their home country. The United Nations has said that the situation in the Taliban-run nation continues to deteriorate. Some 9,000 Afghans currently fall under TPS, which allows those facing war or climate disasters at home to live and work in the U.S. The termination takes effect on July 12th. Here at home, the Justice Department says Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will take over as the new acting Librarian of Congress. Blanche is a former federal prosecutor who represented Donald Trump during his New York hush money trial last year. He replaces longtime librarian Carla Hayden, who was fired last week amid a broader push by the Trump administration to remove officials who it perceives as opposing its agenda in some way. At Newark Airport, flight disruptions entered a new week today with dozens of delays and cancellations. That comes as the Federal Aviation Administration announced it will soon propose flight cuts at the airport, citing air traffic controller staffing, runway construction, and equipment issues. Newark has suffered a number of radar outages in recent weeks. Just yesterday, the airport halted flights for around 45 minutes following a problem with a telecommunications line. At a news conference today, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said he's fast-tracking technology fixes at the airport, but the work could take as long as 2 weeks to complete. California Governor Gavin Newsom is putting pressure on local governments across the state to clear homeless encampments. His administration announced a template for a new local ordinance that would allow cities and towns to outlaw the growing number of makeshift camps in public spaces. The model is not mandatory. But it comes as Newsom's office is releasing $3.3 billion in funds to expand housing and treatment options for homeless residents. More than 187,000 Californians lack housing. That's about 1/3 of the nation's entire homeless population. Pope Leo XIV called on journalists to reject divisive language today in his first address with the media as pontiff. Leo entered the Vatican auditorium to a standing ovation from the audience. It included some of the 6,000 reporters who came to Rome to cover his election. The new pope affirmed freedom of speech and the press and called for the release of imprisoned journalists. He also urged the media to use its voice to promote peace.
Peace begins with each of us, with the way that we look at each other, listen to each other. In this sense, the way we communicate is of fundamental importance. We must say no to the war of words and images. We must reject the paradigm of war.
The Pope also spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today in his first known conversation with a foreign leader since his election last week. In a social media post, Zelensky said the meeting was warm and substantive, adding that they talked about the negotiations to end the war with Russia. Still to come on the NewsHour, a luxury Qatari jet that could be gifted to President Trump raises ethical and legal concerns. A group of white South Africans arrives in the U.S. after being granted refugee status. And Tamara Keith and Amy Walter break down the latest political headlines.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.